Good morning. How are you? Should we have a little reading? I'm drawn to the Yokai Tarot today. Very interesting. Japanese folklore. And I know there's a lot of activity at the moment with Japanese people on Twitter. What a great relationship the Japanese and the Americans have. And just a whole celebration of Japanese culture. I do find Japanese very, very interesting. And it's fascinating to know that they evolved separately to the rest of the world for so many thousands of years. So hats off to Japanese culture, Japanese people. We're very lucky to know you and that you allow us to be part of your world. What's coming out today? The Knight of Cups. You see that all right? The Nine of Wands. Ooh, and the Knight of Pentacles, known as coins in this deck. So that's interesting. Knight of Cups is kind of being in that state where love is just amazing. There's a belief in romance, passion, chivalry, you know, the old-fashioned love stories, the things that people do for love, how it can take over, and how love creates heroes, heroic situations. So that's really, really lovely. The Nine of Wands is the wounded warrior. It's exhaustion. It's like being so close to the end of the marathon and you feel like you've got absolutely nothing left. But running that marathon has been a goal of yours for your life. It's your passion. You've always wanted to run that marathon and you've put everything you've got absolutely into it. And you're kind of starting to fall apart, basically. You're running out of steam, you're running out of strength, you're running out of motivation. You may be questioning why the hell you started this in the first place because of how hard it is. But then also at the last minute, it's like the finish comes into sight and you see it, you know, you just have to watch the marathons. You can see as they turn that corner and they're literally struggling, and then the finish line comes into sight. Somehow, where does that energy come from? But it's there, isn't it? It's like this extra surge of energy because you know there's the end. I'm not just fighting through the darkness anymore. I'm not just having obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. But yeah, there's the finish. Here is another obstacle, but actually I know I can get through that. I can muster up a bit more energy to get me through this situation. So Nine of Wands is a really, really powerful card. And it speaks of like the human will, you know, despite everything, against all adversity, we get there. And it's because we put in that extra ounce of energy that we didn't know we had until we knew that we were near the end. It's an extreme it's an extremely kind of uplifting realization that the human spirit actually can transcend so many boundaries, but you've got to want to transcend the boundary. I'm getting shivers. Look, can you see me on? Ooh. So I'm feeling there's some power here. And then we've got the Knight of Pentacles. The Knight of Pentacles is about understanding that when we're making our way in the world in a material sense, sometimes we just have to knuckle down and do what needs doing. And that can be a very humble profession. I was thinking about this last night, actually. That's funny that he's come out. I was remembering a lad from school. I can remember, I mean, high school's tough, isn't it? Everyone's bragging, oh, my family are rich and my family have got this and that. And some people have always got the latest fashion. And there was this lad, and I mean, he was in the popular group. He wasn't like the main alpha male, but he was in the group. And everyone started taking the piss out of him one day because his dad is a bin man, a refuse collector. His dad was a bin man, and he kind of let out to the class, oh, my dad's a bin man. And there was a few people started laughing and pointing and, your dad's a bin man. And he didn't kind of waver at all. He just sat there and he went, well, yeah, my dad's a bin man, but you know what? He's home by lunchtime. We get to enjoy great holidays, and he's happy. He works hard. He's proud of his job. He knows that he does a good job. That's the energy of the Knight of Pentacles. It's understanding that sometimes the more humble professions can actually bring us a lot of joy. And if you look at the kind of, if you want to put people into levels of society, there really are people who are just naturally suited to the more humble end of the career scale. People who accept that hard work needs doing, things take time, and there is joy in the mundane. I do some house cleaning for people. I used to do care work. It's amazing how brave you can be with a pair of gloves on, but I don't mind things like that, and you do get a lot of joy out of it. You can get a lot of peace of mind from things like cleaning. I've always wanted to be a street cleaner as well. There's something about scrubbing stone is very satisfying, and I admire I do admire the people who can accept that. So I'm feeling like the Nine of Wands is a bit of a struggle of a situation, and the two knights either side, it's making me feel like a lesson, like maybe you approached this difficult situation, this difficult journey, from an emotional aspect of, oh, I actually, yeah, that's what I'm feeling. Okay, so it's a very difficult time in your life. You're feeling like you can't get it through, and your initial approach to the situation was coming at it from a Knight of Cups angle. Like, if I just love, if I just focus on love, if I just focus on getting my dreams met in a kind of emotional sense and trying to be loving for everyone and keeping this idea of love alive, then that might be what helps me through this difficult situation. But I think because it's been so, like, literally the test of your life, I feel like you've had the test of your life. And when you first approached it, maybe you're a water sign, you first approached it from this Knight of Cups angle, what it's done is actually flip around and spat you back out in the kindest way possible as a Knight of Pentacles situation. So your focus now is not so much on what's happening emotionally. I feel you're very balanced. You know who you are. You know that you believe in love, and you haven't kind of put that side of you to one side. But because of whatever this strenuous kind of battle is, I feel like it's a battle for you, for your sovereignty. You're coming out the other side as a Knight of Pentacles, which is very stable, very grounded, focused on kind of plodding on with the work, not overly ambitious, and understanding that actually that's the level that you're quite happy on. And I really want to be clear, I'm not... there's just as much honor in a Knight of Pentacles as there is in a King of Pentacles. Sometimes there can be more. In the Mythic Tarot, the story of the Knight of Pentacles is that he's actually a prince, and he's encouraged through all of his young years. You know, are you going to go into battle? Are you going to be a great warrior? Are you going to go into like romancing all the princesses and the ladies and make a name for yourself that way? Or are you going to be a brilliant like strategist and make a name for yourself that way because you're commanding an empire? But actually, he watches his brothers go and do that. He's like, yeah, you all go and be like that level of prince. But he actually loves beekeeping and maintaining the orchards on the royal estate. And that struggle within him as a young man facing all these like outside interference of everyone telling him who he should be because of his rank in society, because of his position. But actually his heart, his conscience, and his whole being knows that he is happiest being part of looking after the land, looking after the bees, being part of nature. That actually makes him really, really happy. And he understands that those jobs need doing, those things need doing. So he's more than happy to be humble and to be on that level, because it actually meets so much of what he needs. So it's accepting who we are, regardless of the structures around us and the pressures maybe to be more than we want to be, or to have a certain label that actually doesn't gel with us. He doesn't want to be an amazing like warrior. He wants to be the beekeeper. God love him. I love the Knight of Pentacles energy. I really do. What have we got here? The Fool and the Queen of Swords. Fool and the Queen of Swords. Okay, any more on these three, please? Any more on these three? So that battle really has changed you. This struggle against adversity, I feel like there's been a lot put in your path to stop you. And in a way, the Knight of Pentacles, he kind of can't be stopped because he's just kind of taken his time. He's not like imposing himself on any people. He's not like bombastic or anything like that. He's humble, he's aware, he's perceptive, he reads the room, he's very wise, and he kind of knows the way forward because he's so in tune with nature and what's around him. Eight of Cups, Hanged Man. If you left a situation recently, you've surrendered, you've relinquished control. Maybe that's what the battle did for you. You've relinquished control of trying to win this through love, and you're now kind of focused on your own bag and grounding yourself in reality of what's actually going on. The Knight of Cups sometimes can lead into a little bit of fantasy, in the sense of when we think in terms of romance, heroes, true love, it does get to the level of fantasy, especially if you read books, you know. Oh, hello. The Seven of Pentacles. Five of Cups. So if you've walked away from something lately, and the Seven of Pentacles is speaking to me about... it's about making a choice. Seven of Pentacles is quite a tricky situation to be in sometimes, because you've worked so hard at establishing something in one direction, and you're presented with another path that maybe you didn't think of, and maybe you're not sure if it's risky or not. So in the story of the Seven of Pentacles, he's worked so hard and he's built up so much stability on a certain career path, but then he's offered to go in a completely different direction. And even though that kind of excites him, because he knows, oh, it's a bit like the Knight of Pentacles gone too far, where you're actually feeling stifled and stagnated because you did want to go beyond the Knight of Pentacles, but you haven't for whatever reason. No blame, no shade. So thinking of the Seven, it's like, so for instance, say you've worked at the same company for 20 years, you know you're safe there, everything's fine, you've kind of made it as far as you think you're going to go. And then say around your mid-40s, you start getting itchy feet, you start having those existential questions of, is this for me? Am I doing the right thing? Something's making me start to look elsewhere, and da-da-da. And sure enough, you look elsewhere, you're like, right, I am going to try something new. I'm going to move into a different industry. But you've got 20 years of work experience in the first industry. And then because you go in, let's say you hand your notice in, you say, oh, I'm gonna try this new thing. And then your bosses of 20 years say, actually, here's this role for you, which is a step up, further stability. And it's kind of looking at those two pathways. Do I stay where I've always been? Because I know it's stable, even though I'm maybe not quite getting the energetic satisfaction that I used to, because something in my spirit and my soul is wanting me to change something, but then being presented with this real kind of dilemma, because let's say the second job, it only pays you half of the money, but you've already had that conversation of yourself, well, I'll take the drop in money because I kind of want to feel alive again. I want to feel useful again. I want to feel that sense of purpose again, which this job of 20 years kind of isn't quite getting it. But then they present you with the dilemma because they've offered you a promotion with more money. So that's where the real choice point comes in, is, do I change my life and kind of start again from a lower salary? Or do I stay with this kind of concrete situation, which is already very solid? It's a real tough one. And a lot of people, you probably already know what they choose. And there's a phrase, isn't there? Oh, better the devil you know. But what happens is, depending on you and your soul, what can happen is, staying with the devil we know, opportunities then maybe don't present themselves again because you didn't take that one back there. So it can then lead to stagnation, stifling feelings, suffocation, feeling stuck, feeling trapped. And it's because you stayed on that one path that, even though it was stable, it wasn't actually giving you anything anymore. You weren't waking up and feeling excited anymore. You kind of knew everything that you needed to know. So it's like your soul is telling you, let's do something, but then maybe the fear in you and the fact that, I mean, everyone's got the same pressure, haven't we? It's very hard to think, oh, I fancy changing my life, when you've got bills to pay. You've got a finite amount of time to make those changes because the rent's due again in a few weeks. You know, it's very, very difficult for lots of people to think of changing your life. But something's happened here where, because of the struggles you've been through, you're able to kind of bring these together. You've had a lot of your life previously where you were coming from the heart space. And I think that's done you very, very well in lots of things. And I'm not saying you to get rid of that, but there's this other grounded, earthy side of you that's coming through, which has given this bit of balance. And I feel like it's pushing you through whatever this adversity is, whatever this kind of ongoing battle and journey that you're on. And obviously with the 9, you're so close to the 10. You're getting there. So harmonizing these opposites, your emotional being and your physical being, harmonizing those two is bringing you clarity and progress, strength as well. Yeah, you know yourself very well. You've been through a lot. And on both of these as well, both of these nights, we've got support from nature. You're being held. You're being supported. You might not feel it. They're solitary cards. You might not feel it right at this moment, that there's a huge community around you holding you up. It may literally be nature is holding you up. You're here, okay? You've got another day. Let's be grateful and let's do our best with it. There's lovely energies there. Can I have more on... I've swapped them over, sorry. Excuse me. Can I have more on the Knight of Cups, please? What do we know about the Knight of Cups? You having that one? Okay. 6 of Pentacles. So talking about the 7 before, with that kind of choice point of, do I go down something new or stick with what I know? Before that is the 6. And the 6 is a really special card. It's about generosity, but it's about generosity from out of nowhere. And it can go either way. So regardless of your financial situation, you may be called upon to be generous. And it'll have a funny kind of, there'll be a slight instinct about it where even if it's a little bit beyond you, and it's maybe, I really don't want to, you know, I could do with that money right now. You're gonna kind of know, hang on, there's more to this. And if you can be generous in that moment, because it's not just that person asking you, it's actually the universe. It's that person's turn to receive generosity, and the universe is asking you to facilitate that. Or it's the other way round, and out of nowhere, there's some sort of cosmic rebalancing going on, and you are going to receive some generosity. Now, the lesson in this is to have no ego about it, which can be hard, especially if the numbers are pretty big. So say, for instance, you win the lottery. The temptations are infinite, really, aren't they? But the lesson is to be the Knight of Pentacles about it, to be stable, calm, one step at a time, managed, sober, mindful, sensible. No, I've got millions, I want to go and blow it. No, bring in your Knight of Pentacles, because that generosity, it literally is like the six of Pentacles. A lot of readers say it's justice in the 3D, which it kind of is. It's literally a universal rebalancing, and it's a little test. Okay, it's, can you be generous when you know it's above and beyond? Because if you can, you will receive this at another point in your life. Or maybe you already have received some random generosity in your life, and actually now it's your turn to give. Okay, you'll know what this is because you'll sense that there's an extra layer to it. There's an extra meaning. There's a spiritual dimension, because this is justice manifest in real life. And I feel that the Knight of Cups side of you, because you believe in fairness, because you're the Knight of Cups, your heart believes in fairness. So you've manifested this situation. I hope it's generosity for you. How wonderful. But yeah, don't let it go to your head. Stay sensible. You, like, for instance, if it's a lottery win, you haven't won that lottery win because of who you are. That's the truth of it, isn't it? You've won it because of random numbers. Yeah. Similar to when we play cards, it makes me laugh so much how people get angry when they play card games. You haven't picked your hand, have you? Some things we have absolutely no control over, but we are asked to deal with those situations with grace, humility, and groundedness. So whatever way that Six of Pentacles looks for you, please see it for what it is and kind of play along. Play along. Be generous with grace. Accept generosity with grace. Okay. Why is the Nine of Wands here, please? Oh, hello. The Four of Wands. Okay. So you trying to make your way in the world has kind of brought you a lot of adversity. Where once it might have felt like everything was kind of in place for you to just move forward. You maybe did used to have support. You had people around you. You had resources. You had creative energy. Things were going your way, yeah. But it's the Four is like the beginning of that process. So the Ace is like that first rush of energy. The Two is where the energy meets something. It begins to manifest in something. The Three is about initial completion, initial like, yeah, okay, you're on the right path. And then the Four is like, let's get going. We've got the money, we've got the plans, we've got the people. So something about that has put you in a 9 of Wands situation where those people have gone, the energy is running low, you're still trying to get to the end, the 10, but it's become a very, very difficult situation. I feel like you are extremely close to materializing something though. What have we got here? So yeah, it's funny as well because you see how his face is hidden, the one who's given out the coins. We don't often know where this money comes from. We just got to accept it with grace and be prepared to dish some out in the future. What have we got here? So 4 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles with the 5 behind it. Oh, sneaky. Okay. So you allowing the Knight of Pentacles side of you to integrate and assimilate into who you are, it is leading you to the 10. Okay, you know exactly what path you're on. This is permanence, this is stability, this is legacy, generational wealth. This is not just having enough for you. This is about making everyone in your life comfortable, having something to pass down, creating something that the world is going to remember you by. Real permanence here, stability. Nothing can take that away. And I feel like you've had a lot of difficult times in your life. You have experienced poverty. You have experienced lack. And that's interesting because the 5 before the 6, so the 5 of Pentacles is about maybe losing a home, losing a job, having a downturn of the financial wheels, like being in the down phase of that. But again, it's almost a spiritual situation because the challenge of the 5 is to not take it personally. So the antithesis of the 6 really is that we experience times where completely out of our control, we might be financially struggling. And the challenge is to not let it get to you. Oh, I've lost my job. That doesn't mean I'm a shit person and I should now live in a state of depression and lack. What I can actually do is pick myself up, understand that it happens to the best of us, and that there may come a time in the future when the world treats me with some generosity. That follows that. But the 6 only follows the 5 if we can psychologically and energetically lift ourselves out of that. You may live on a very tiny amount of money, but it doesn't mean you have to have a poverty mindset, because you may be absolutely massively ambitious. So the 5, sometimes we have to look at it a bit like it's our turn for a shit time. That's my way of putting the 5. If you think back to when it was the Depression, was it the 1920s when the stock market had the massive crash, which was orchestrated, by the way. But we had, what was it? Wall Street bankers jumping out of buildings and stuff because they took that to the depths of their soul. That loss had such a huge impact on their well-being that they decided to end their lives. The 5 doesn't want you to do that, okay? Having whatever number is in your bank is not a reflection of who you are. And life wants to show you that. So if you can lift yourself out of whatever kind of I'm not going to say dark, because it doesn't have to be dark. I live on very little money, and I don't let that kind of reflect on who I am. You know, it's not easy though. I completely get it. So the challenge of the 5, this is telling me that you have recognized the challenge of the 5. You haven't let this get to you. You haven't started talking to yourself in ways of like, oh, I'm shit, and oh, I don't deserve that money, and oh, I'm always going to be poor. language like that, your body is listening, and your body then goes, oh, okay, that's how it is, right? Let's respond accordingly. If you can see that as either a phase, as your turn, as temporary, any of those things, whatever is going to help to lift you out of that, even though that could be the reality that you're staring at, your spirit, your soul, your heart can lift, okay, to the point where the universe is going to look kindly on you with some generosity. And it's all leading to the 10. So however you find yourself right now, which may be 5 of Pentacles, the 10 is still on your path. It's still achievable. Whatever things look like now, nobody knows what's around the corner, do they? You might get a job offer next week of someone who remembers you from years ago, and they're like, oh, we're doing this, and actually you're the perfect person. Here's 400 grand a year. All right. It's not easy. I'm not pretending it's easy. I try to lighten it a bit, because tarot can be very, very heavy. And we are moving through some really heavy energies here with the 9 of Wands, 5 of Coins. Any more on this Wands in the center, please? Let me straighten up a bit. I sit all wonky. Tell me more about the 4 of Wands, 9 of Wands here. 4 of Wands, 9 of Wands. So altogether that's 13 Wands, which breaks back down to 4. So you haven't really changed in what you're trying to do. I think you've got maybe the same ambitions, the same desires, the same plans. And that whatever that adversity is has actually just led you back to, right, I'll start again then. I'll gather my resources. I'll find new people. My dream hasn't actually changed. My dream's not gone. Any more on this Wands column here, please? Wands, 4 and 9 of Wands. Oh, that wanted to bend. Let's have a 2 of Wands. You are starting again. You're picking your path. You're maybe starting from very humble beginnings with the 5 of Pentacles. You might be starting with absolutely nothing. It's okay. It's okay. The universe is going to see you right, okay? If you can kind of trust that things do balance out. Generosity does exist. Kindness does exist. People are receiving massive amounts of money all the time. If you think of how much money is traveling around the world every day, it's billions and billions and billions. There's no reason why you can't be part of that and have a share of that. So underneath here, we've now got the 4 of Pentacles, 4 of Coins. So on that row is the 10. So even when you were in your Knight of Cups phase and trying to approach life through your heart, you always had the potential to have a very stable, permanent, successful, prosperous, material life, okay? So what this is, right, what this is telling me then is there's been a situation where maybe someone's tried to hold on to how things are. One of the reasons, okay, so now we've got the 4, 5, 6. Am I doing that in order? 4, 5, 6 of Pentacles. This is where the lesson comes in because of the 4. When we start making a bit of money and we start making a bit of success, what often happens is people want it to stay that way. And people give themselves the illusion that they can actually control that. So in the Mythic Tarot, it speaks of the craftsman who's starting to make a name for himself and starting to be successful, but he's got a young apprentice boy just started, and the young apprentice boy is actually showing some skills, and it's making the craftsman feel a bit uneasy. So what he starts doing is hiding some of the things he's made, some of the skills. He kind of tries to control how much the apprentice lad is going to grow so it doesn't infringe on him. So the imagery is of him holding all his coins. And then because of that, because the truth is money has its own energy. It has its own flow. And if you try to control that, you will be shown by the universe that you do not control it. So now it's your turn for an extraction. So this can be loss. It can be quite severe loss as well. But if we can keep our spirit through that time, what's that bit from Desiderata? Strengthen your spirit so you can get through the hard times, or times of sudden misfortune. So if you don't have a strong spirit in this time of sudden misfortune, you're going to be taking it all personally and going back to keep trying to control, trying to hold on. But it's like a water. If you're trying to grab a handful of water, it just all comes out, because water cannot be controlled. Similarly, money, it needs a bit of flow. You need to let a bit go for it to come back. You need to invest to see a return. And you need to also allow other people to be on their path. So where he was not only trying to control his own wealth and maintain what was in his pockets, he was also trying to control someone else who he thought, oh God, he can't get bigger than me. He can't get more successful than me. But actually, what if it was in that lad's destiny? You know? So the universe does sometimes put us in times of sudden misfortune to simply make us realize that we are not in control of so many forces out there in life. We are in control of our own behavior. But if we can nurture that strength of spirit through times of sudden misfortune, we will be rewarded. The universe will see that actually we are trying our best. We are being genuine. We are putting in the blood, sweat and tears to make something work. So then it's our turn for a bit of kindness. Okay? Very humbling. I'm so sorry. It's not easy. You're really, like, the center of this is all one. So at the center of you, you are trying to have your life as a manifestation of everything that goes on in your imagination, your dreams, your ambitions. Hats off to you. You know, that's kind of why we're here. You're not doing anything wrong. But I think what the struggle has been is that maybe your ambitions, obviously they're right for you, but it's possible the people around you, I mean, everyone's on different levels of learning. It could be simply that the people around you didn't quite have the same imagination, the same drive, and hence the obstacles begin to appear, and the lack of support, the lack of encouragement, the kind of solitary journey to keep pushing through on this. But what it's telling me is that the lessons that you've had and the challenges that you've had are all now stabilizing. And the fact that it's two knights on either side, I mean, I'm not doubting that you're a queen or king in many areas of your life, but this is telling me that we have a balance, we have a stability, we have a harmony of your earth and your water. So you're able to kind of blend the two in a very calm way, where you might still have this fire going on inside, but the way that you present is very stable, very grounded, emotionally mature, perceptive, instinctive, and still hopeful, positive, still reaching for something, still got lots to do, lots of plans. I love this for you. And this keeps catching my eye today as well. So we're going to have a magical message from Doreen Virtue's Fairies. Okay. I love the little oracle cards. Okay, you've been listening to all this. Do we have a message for whoever's this reading's for, please? Do we have a message? I like it when they do that. Patience, please, your Knight of Pentacles. What you're asking for is coming about. Have patience, as there are unseen factors that need to occur first. So this is what I was saying. Much as we think we're here and we're in control, there's so much more going on. Nature has its own rhythms, flows, forces, timing. Nature has its own balance. And when nature decides to put something into balance, it will. And it requires us to have some patience. Can you see her there? She's gorgeous. Lots of green, lots of orange. So this is showing me that you're very much harmonizing your fire with your earth. You're getting there, all right? You're getting there, aren't we all? I love that for you. Go outside and smell the roses for a bit, okay? You're battling so much at the minute. This Nine of Wands is really heavy energy. It's heavy energy, but like I said, you're so close to where you want to be. It's possibly tantalizingly close that you're losing your patience. So that's why this last message has come in. Don't forget, okay? Don't forget to be patient. Enjoy the day. Enjoy some nature. And be grateful. Be grateful for your existence. We all face challenges and we all face some very, very tough times. Oh, just underneath that poked out a birthday. So if it's your birthday coming up or it's just been, I wish you many happy returns. Lots of love. And a bit of 528 to close us out. See ya.